80% of the people who work in the NHS are women. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's 77%. So, yes, just over three-quarters of the people who work in the NHS are women, but it's a minority in the senior roles, in the leadership roles as consultants, people running hospitals, and I think that's got to change.
Is that what explains the pay differential then? Because even though there's more women working, those people at the top who are earning the big bucks are predominantly men.
That's one of the reasons. There's also a difference in pay for people doing the same job. That's clearly wrong. It's an injustice, and we need to tackle it.
Well, I would suggest it's illegal,
what I want to
isn't
see
it,
ultimately,
Mr. Hancock?
Well, it needs to change, exactly, and I'm highlighting it because I think that the NHS is a brilliant organisation, but it could be much better if it makes gives equal opportunities to everybody to succeed, and there's things we need to do to make that happen.
Look, it's a perfectly good thing to highlight it, but how do you actually significantly change it?
Well, let me give you one example. There's far less flexible working in the NHS than there is in lots of other organisations. There's not nearly enough, for instance, flexible rotoring. Instead, you get a rota and you're told exactly when you've got to work. That is really tough for people with childminding and childcare responsibilities. And it's a fact of life that more women than men have more childcare responsibilities. So more flexible working will help. There's also a culture that's got to change, frankly, which is quite hierarchical and old-fashioned. And I want to see more done to support women to come through and move into more senior roles.
Right, so, a laudable ambition when it comes to the NHS. Let's turn our attention now to what's happening within Cabinet with the Prime Minister. We heard yesterday the 1922 committee is not going to change the rules so that there can be another vote of confidence in the Prime Minister before December, which would mark a year since the last vote. But if, as expected, the European elections go ahead, and if, as predicted, the Conservatives get a complete drubbing and the Brexit Party picks up a lot of disaffected Tory and potentially Labour voters who think you just haven't got on with it, will it be up to the Cabinet, people like you, to say to Theresa May, your time's up?
Well, I back the Prime Minister to get a Brexit deal to deliver on the result of the referendum. I mean, that's been what I backed her for all the way since she became Prime Minister to do that, and we've talked about it a lot on this programme. I want to get on with it. I want to leave the European Union as soon as possible. I'm frustrated that hasn't happened so far. Too many people have voted against the deal that would have delivered on Brexit. And I think that she's the right person to deliver that, to deliver Brexit.
But with all due respect, Mr. Hancock, she has tried to get that deal through Parliament 3 times. Aren't you backing the wrong horse? Somebody who simply hasn't been able to negotiate a Brexit that anybody wants?
No, the Brexit deal is what a lot of us want. I want to get on and deliver Brexit. And, changing leader doesn't change the parliamentary
I wasn't saying
arithmetic.
that people didn't want Brexit. I was saying that the clear evidence is that the MPs don't want the Brexit deal that the Prime Minister has negotiated.
Well, I do. The point I was making was that I do, and the withdrawal agreement is the way to deliver Brexit, and changing the leader doesn't change anything. What we need to do is get on, deliver Brexit, and then we can be talking about all the other things like the improvements to the NHS and equal opportunities and more opportunities for women that I've been talking about today. I want to get on and be talking about those things we can do to improve our country, and the best way we can do that is getting behind the PM, everybody, to deliver the withdrawal agreement.
Look, you say that. I had my life saved by the NHS last year, and I went back to the intensive care unit and I spoke to the staff that saved my life, and a lot of them were from the European Union, a lot of them from outside the EU, and a lot of them were thinking of quitting and leaving this country and the NHS because of Brexit. And I find it, to me, it seems like a contradiction to be the minister at the top of the NHS and championing Brexit, which is clearly going to be damaging for the NHS.
Well, I don't agree with that. There's more EU citizens working in the NHS today than there was on referendum day. I mean, you said it yourself in the question. I'm really glad that you got great treatment, and so many people get brilliant treatment. And it's true that many people working in the NHS, the majority of course are Brits, but there's many from EU countries, but there's lots and lots from outside the EU as well. The point about delivering on the referendum result is, firstly, we live in a democracy, so we follow the votes of people when we give them a vote, like we did with the referendum. But secondly, we'll then control our own immigration system. And yes, we'll be able to get doctors and nurses from around the world to come and work in the NHS. That'll be our choice, not imposed on us by membership of the European Union. So, of course, we've got to make sure that we get the future rules right, but we've got to deliver on the referendum result so that we can get on to talking about all these other things.